So I'm going to read for my book, too. It came out in February, and the paperback is coming out in February. Please take note. And it is a memoir, not a fictionalized one, and it is called, I should have done that, called Waiting for Daisy, a tale of 2 continents, 3 religions, 5 infertility doctors, an Oscar and atomic bomb, a romantic night, and 1 woman's quest to become a mother. And I called it that because I thought if I called it a tale of 1 breast cancer diagnosis, 2 IVFs, 3 miscarriages, 6 months on Clomid, a year of eating herbs that tasted like dirt, a botched donor egg cycle, a failed attempt at adoption, and 1 woman's quest to become a mother, that it might not sell as well. So this little piece takes place right when, at the beginning of the book, and my husband Stephen and I have wiffle-waffled, mostly I have wiffled-waffled about whether I wanted to have children or not. And finally we decided that we did want to try to have a baby, and I immediately got breast cancer. And so then it was treated and dispatched with, and now we have been given the go-ahead to try. And I think the only other things you need to know for this section are that my husband is, yes, I'm almost 46 years old. Here are my reading glasses. My husband is a filmmaker, and he's Japanese-American. I married a man who is far better looking than I. It's not that I'm a candidate for a dogfight exactly, but no one's ever going to confuse me with Heidi Klum. Stephen, meanwhile, was plastered on billboards all over America as part of a Gap campaign, the one that featured artsy types who embodied cool. At a screening of one of his films at the Smithsonian, a young woman bustled up to say that the ladies of Harvard's Asian Pacific American Law Students Association had hung his picture in their office for inspiration. "Hi," I said brightly, cutting in front of him. "I'm his wife." He is largely indifferent to such flattery. Having lived with it all his life, he understands the power of beauty, the privilege it confers, and he understands its limits. Still, I've often marveled at the idea that he was handsome in junior high, a time when my acne was blessedly obscured by the twin glares of my braces and glasses. On our 3rd date, I showed Stephen a snapshot of me in college, zaftig in a peasant skirt and my boyfriend's ill-fitting crewneck sweater, my hair cut to resemble a Semitic cotton ball. It was part of what made him fall in love with me. "I thought it was brave of you to show me something that embarrassing," he said later. Brave and kind of pathetic. There's only one thing about me that anyone has ever considered gorgeous. 3 different gynecologists have, upon intimate examination, invoked that word to describe my cervical mucus. I would have no trouble getting pregnant, they always informed me. I didn't know at the time nor much care what cervical mucus was, but I would blush modestly anyway, not that they could see from their vantage point. I had reason then to think that conception would be a snap. My gorgeous mucus would assure it. Besides, I deserved something to go smoothly with my body. It would be a way to rebalance the scales of fate after cancer treatment. And so we began to try. There's the first time you have sex, and then there's the first time you have sex without birth control, on purpose, to make a baby. Both events feel transformative, but this time I didn't feel the urge to jump up and phone my best friend when it was over. There was something both sacred and carnal about the way Stephen and I joined together during those early nights, an erotic thrill in breaking the taboo against unprotected sex, along with a startling intimacy. I touched his cheek as he traced circles down my body. "Here we go," I whispered, and he smiled. We were making something more than love. We were making our child. I already felt pregnant with possibility. 3 months went by. Not a long time, but I've always trended toward the anxious. I'd also known a number of couples who had difficulty conceiving. A friend suggested the book Taking Charge of Your Fertility. Taking charge, she was speaking my language. The book explained that a woman doesn't necessarily ovulate on the 14th day of her cycle. You might ovulate on the 12th or the 20th. When you do, the egg lives 24 hours max, but sperm can lounge around in your body for up to 5 days. It's strategic then to have a lot of sex before you ovulate, so the guys are up there ready and waiting when the ball drops. Doing it after ovulation or even during may be too late. What's more, there are signs that a woman's critical time is nigh. That cervical mucus my doctor swooned over, it miraculously transforms in the days before ovulation to a clear come-hither liquid similar to semen that helps speed sperm to egg. I'd had my period for almost a quarter of a century. During college, I lay on a dormitory floor with a bunch of other women, empowering ourselves by looking up our yin-yangs with plastic specula and hand mirrors. I thought I knew the facts of life, yet I didn't know any of this. So I began to take charge. I popped a thermometer into my mouth every morning before so much as kissing Stephen hello. I plotted my temperature on a graph I'd Xeroxed from the book, carefully connected it to the dots of previous days, and pored over the results like they were rune stones. Had the temperature gone up more than 0.2 of a point since the day before? Had it stayed up for 3 days, indicating that I'd ovulated and the procreative window had slammed shut? I spent an enormous amount of time in the bathroom poking my fingers up my vagina. Was my cervix open and low? High and closed? Was that even my cervix? Was my fluid, as taking charge referred to it, so much more genial than mucus? Sticky, creamy, the coveted clear and stretchy? Most of the time it looked to me like gunk. I peed on ovulation predictor sticks, but couldn't tell when the second line was the precise shade of magenta as the first. Sometimes, to be sure, I'd go through several sticks a day. I quit drinking coffee, though I'd never drunk more than 2 cups a day, and substituted 2 teaspoons of Robitussin each morning. Its main ingredient thins and loosens mucus in the lungs, and although there's no actual evidence, it's thought to work similar juju further south. Meanwhile, taking charge warned that lubricants, including saliva, could kill sperm, so I tossed out the Astroglide and forswore oral sex. If the going got tough, I squirted warm... So what? I squirted warm egg white, another of Seaman's cousins, inside me with a turkey baster. To add to the fun, I limited us to the missionary position, which according to the book was the most gravitationally correct. What do you got to say about that, honey? There's no point in trying if we're doing it at the wrong time, I said without looking. I'm sorry, I skipped a paragraph because I was ad-libbing. You're turning this into a military maneuver, Stephen groused one morning as I studied my charts. He glanced at his wrist like he was synchronizing a watch. Operation Baby. There's no point in trying if we're doing it at the wrong time, I said without looking up. But you don't have to be so clinical about it. It's bad karma to try to create a child this way. It won't work. That's ridiculous, I lectured. Pregnancy was a scientific equation, sperm and egg. It was a matter of timing. Enjoying the process would be nice, but it wasn't essential. I'm 36 years old, I said. We can be romantic the rest of the month. My friend Diane places a symbol of what she calls her heart's desire on her bedside table. She'd been through 5 in the past 6 years, including a business card when she was hoping for a promotion and a peace button when her husband was quarreling with his siblings, and they'd all paid off. She claims that a friend of a friend with a fireman fixation tried it with a photo of a 9/11 hero she'd ripped from a magazine. Soon she had a one-legged boyfriend. The connection? In the picture, one of the fireman's thighs was obscured by a hydrant. A girl has to watch out for such things. That might be apocryphal, Diane admitted, but to me, the symbol is a nightly reminder of what you want. I'd like to think it's magic, but it's really more like a form of prayer. Then you work on it unconsciously in your dreams, and when you wake up each morning, you focus on the symbol again when your mind is still free from the clutter of the day. I took stock of my nightstand. There was a broken sand dollar from a long-ago trip to Big Sur, an inlaid pillbox from a stoner ex-boyfriend, an antique pocket watch from a childhood pal who'd replaced the face with my 4th grade school picture. Geez, I thought, broken shells? Gifts from exes? Stopped time? What was I thinking? I swept them into the trash and assembled a more conducive shrine. A Lakota soapstone turtle that I picked up on a visit to South Dakota and later learned was a fertility symbol. A turquoise bear from Santa Fe. I was trying to bear a child. A balsa wood box of brightly dressed Guatemalan worry dolls, the kind that are said to solve your troubles while you sleep. At first, Stephen was amused. He liked my little display so much that he moved it to the living room. "Where are my animals?" I said aghast that night. "I thought they'd look better in the other room," he said. "I do not want them moved." I just thought... I glared at him. "I do not want them moved," I repeated, carefully setting them back in their places. "I can't believe you touched them." "Jesus, Peg, next you'll be putting voodoo dolls under the bed." "I already have," I said crampedly. I lifted the sheet to show him. I had tucked a beaded African fertility fetish under my side of the mattress. He was silent. "You're the one who was talking about bad karma," I said. "Yeah, well, I just think strawberries and whipped cream might work better." I'd read to you about my husband's sperm count, but I think that it's time to move on. It's good. So, thank you.